Welcome back to the review show. I'm your host, Tommy Gleason. Last week I reviewed the first 7 episodes of What If, but this week I decided to change things up a little bit. Instead of reviewing a TV show, I've prepared a book review for you. But not just any book, a crime novel that was made into a movie, and it was written by a graduate of the J School here at Mizzou. It is called In a Lonely Place, and the author is Dorothy Hughes. Now before we enter the review, I would like to talk a little bit about Hughes. She was born in Kansas City in 1904 and got her bachelor's in journalism at Mizzou in 1925. Hughes worked as a reporter before attending graduate school at the University of New Mexico and Columbia University. She would go on to become a poet, a novelist, a critic, and a biographer. In 1978, Hughes was recognized as a Grand Master in the Mystery Writers of America. Now, I'm not saying that the J School made Hughes a titan in the mystery and crime literature world, but it should definitely give all the journalism students out here at Mizzou some hope. Now to the actual novel, which was written in 1975. Let's begin with a quick summary. Hughes writes a novel in the third person, but it is clearly from the perspective of the main character, who's called Dix, the man who wanders the dark nights of Southern California in search of a woman to kill. After coming home from World War II, he convinces his uncle to pay him for 1 year as he writes a novel in California. Dix contacts an old friend who turns out to be a detective for the Los Angeles Police Department. Now the novel follows Dix as he commits horrendous murders of California women, but attempts to develop a relationship with the woman in his apartment complex. Now 2 other storylines also take place in the novel. The first is the mystery surrounding how Dix came into living in a wealthy apartment complex with no job. The second is how Dix balances his friendship with one of the lead detectives on the case while continuing to commit the murders. All these moving parts come to a head in the final pages of the novel. So, is it worth the read? Well, that depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for an action-packed crime novel, then probably not. The novel does not show the murders happening, and there's little physical action that actually occurs between characters. Now, if you're looking for a more thought-provoking story that draws out suspense, then this novel is perfect for you. It is very successful in drawing you in. It begins slowly by setting the scene, but leaves much of the facts hidden. We enter the story with the mystery of Dick's past and are left clueless as to the motive behind his attacks. Hughes goes about the story, leaving breadcrumbs for us to pick up along the way. We are the detectives in this novel, and she is showing us the clues one by one. It is exciting to follow along with and try to uncover Dick's past. Beyond the suspense of the story comes the thoughtfulness of the dialogue. Written from the point of view of the killer, Hughes examines the mind of such a person and how someone could commit such acts. The dialogue within his mind is enough to have us thinking about what drives serial killers. We are forced to think about loneliness, fear, anxiety, and love, as twisted as it may be. And she even goes as far as to draw some sympathy towards the cold-blooded killer. It is a fascinating experience and must-have for anyone who loves crime novels or TV shows. Now, the last point I want to make about this novel is its themes. Hughes is a very intelligent woman, as you could probably already tell. She didn't just write a suspenseful crime novel to entertain people for a few hours. She was ahead of her time in examining how the idea of toxic masculinity could relate to men's mistreatment of women. She clearly paints Dix with hypermasculine qualities that directly relate to the reasons for his attacks. And Hughes points out that the fear that many women have of walking alone at night in a society that has assaults of women draped across the front pages of newspapers far too often. So in the end, I highly recommend reading In a Lonely Place by Dorothy Hughes. I think everyone can enjoy the mystery, but it will also make you think a little, which is always good. Plus, it is less than 200 pages, and it is available to borrow at the Ellis Library. Trust me, it is worth the read. And if you hate it, then, it's not always a bad thing to read novels that make you think. So have a good week, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at MUTV23. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, MUTV, and learn more about us at mutv.missouri.edu.